In this journey, we will explore how ancient civilizations understood time, moving slowly through their calendars, myths, and rituals. We will be learning about how ancient civilizations understood time in a relaxing, sleep-inducing way. Let the quiet narrative carry you as if through corridors of memory. In the flickering glow of torches and the whisper of wind against stone, imagine standing at the threshold of the Egyptian world. The Nile floods once each year, marking a rhythm as dependable as a heartbeat. The ancient Egyptians divided their day into 24 hours, 12 for daylight and 12 for night. Each hour was measured by the passage of the sun or by stars called decans that rose and set at predictable times during the night. Their civil calendar consisted of 12 months of 30 days each, grouped into 3 seasons: inundation, emergence, and harvest, and they added 5 extra days at the end of the year to reconcile the lunar and solar cycles. That means the year drifted. The new year began with the heliacal rising of Sirius, Sopdet, which signaled the start of the inundation. In the soft desert air, priests used tall obelisks and simple sundials to follow the sun's shadow across marked lines, dividing the day into sections. At night, they used water clocks called clepsydras, letting water drip through narrow openings while marking the passing hours. Imagine the steady drip of water echoing in a quiet temple, marking each moment in the darkness. As you walk from the Nile's banks to the bustling cities of Mesopotamia, you enter another ancient view of time. The Babylonians lived by a calendar of 12 months of 30 days. They needed to occasionally add an extra month to keep their lunar calendar aligned with the seasons. It was here that the 7-day week first emerged. Each day was dedicated to one of 7 celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and 5 planets visible to the naked eye. The Sumerians introduced the sexagesimal system, dividing the hour into 60 minutes and the minute into 60 seconds. Picture scribes pressing cuneiform marks into clay tablets, calculating agricultural cycles and eclipses by base 60 numbers. Their year had 360 days, a number representing a perfect circle in their geometry. Their concept of time was cyclical life revolved around repeating agricultural tasks and religious festivals, and yet also linear in the sense that they recorded dynasties and epics. In their cosmic myths, time itself began with the creation of the world out of watery chaos, and the gods measured the days by dividing the heavens. In nearby ancient Greece, time took on philosophical dimensions. The Greeks personified time in multiple figures. Chronos represented the relentless, sequential flow of time, measured by clocks and the shifting positions of sun and stars. Kairos represented the opportune moment, the right time to act, like the perfect moment to harvest grapes or to speak. Ion symbolized cyclical. Eternity, a cosmic loop where ages return endlessly. Greek mathematicians and astronomers adopted Egyptian and Babylonian systems, but they also refined them. The day was divided into 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night, though these hours varied with the seasons. They built complex water clocks and mechanical devices, like the Tower of the Winds in Athens, which combined a water clock with sundials and carvings of the 8 winds. Philosophers debated whether time was real or an illusion. Parmenides and Zeno argued that motion and change were paradoxes, while Plato considered time a moving image of eternity, created when the gods set the sun, moon, and planets in motion. The Romans inherited these systems, blending them into their daily life. Hours were still unequal in length, stretching long in summer and shortening in winter. To mark legal hours and rituals, Roman priests used sundials and large public water clocks. They named the days after the same 7 celestial bodies, a tradition that continues in modern Romance languages. In the cool midday shade of the Forum, citizens set appointments by referencing the position of the sun or the watchman's announcements. Like the Greeks, they perceived time as both cyclical and linear. cyclical through the turning of seasons and festivals, linear in the march of emperors and the founding of cities. Travel eastward to the bustling markets of ancient China. Here, time was measured in several overlapping ways. One system divided the day into 12 two-hour periods called shi, each associated with one of the 12 earthly branches and corresponding animals: rat, ox, tiger, and so on. Another system divided the day into 100 ki, later adjusted to 96 or 108. Each ki lasted about a quarter of an hour and was marked on sundials and water clocks. Night watchmen used gongs or drums to announce the 5 watches. Chinese artisans invented incense clocks that burned along intricate paths of powdered incense, releasing perfume and sometimes triggering small bells or weight mechanisms when the burning reached certain points. Imagine the subtle scent of burning herbs weaving through a household as a measure of the night. Candle clocks were marked with lines indicating the passage of time. Nails inserted into the wax would fall onto metal plates with a soft clang as the candle melted. The Chinese cosmology was deeply cyclical. The movements of the heavens, recorded in star maps and treatises, were used to select auspicious times for weddings, warfare, and planting. Time was not only measured, but harmonized with yin and yang, the seasons, and the flow of qi. In the Indian subcontinent, time was stretched and compressed across multiple scales. Daily life was structured by muhurtas. 30 units of approximately 48 minutes each divided the day and night. This system was rooted in Vedic astronomy, where detailed rituals required precise timing. Smaller units like Nadika or Danda measured 24 minutes, and Vedic texts even described microseconds called paramanu. Weeks were named after the 7 planets Ravivar, Sunday, Somvar, Monday, and so forth. Months were lunar, alternating between 29 and 30 days, and intercalary months kept them aligned with the solar year. Hindu cosmology conceived of vast epochs. 4 yugas, each progressively shorter and darker, formed a Chatur Yuga of 4.32 million years. 1,000 such cycles comprised a day of Brahma, lasting 4.32 billion years, followed by an equally long night. Time here was cyclical on grand scales, but within human lives it was measured by the rising and setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, and the seasonal monsoons. Rituals at dawn and dusk were tied to particular muhurtas. Temple bells rang at regular intervals, echoing across stone courtyards. Across the ocean in the Maya lands of Mesoamerica, time was woven with incredible complexity. The Maya used a 260-day sacred calendar called the Tzolk'in, formed by combining 20 day signs with 13 numbers. This cycle reflected astronomical and biological rhythms. It approximated 9 lunar cycles and human gestation. They also maintained a solar calendar, the Hab, of 365 days divided into 18 months, of 20 days plus a 5-day period considered unlucky. The combination of Tzolk'in and Hab produced a calendar round of 52 years, a cycle at the end of which all accounts returned to their starting positions. For events beyond this cycle, the long count recorded time in nested units, counting from a mythic creation date corresponding to August 11th, 3114 BCE. Imagine scribe carving long sequences of dots and bars into stone monuments to record the completion of a Baktun, a period of approximately 394 years. Their worldview embraced cyclical time. Each cycle brought renewal, but also the potential for cosmic upheaval. Rituals, sacrifices, and the alignment of pyramids with celestial events served to maintain cosmic order. Nearby, the Aztecs in central Mexico inherited and adapted these calendars. Their sunstone, intricately carved, depicted a 260-day ritual calendar called the Tonalpohualli and a 365-day solar calendar called the Xiuhpohualli. The tonal Pohwali consisted of 20-day signs combined with numbers 1 through 13, cycling through 260 unique combinations. Each combination had ritual significance. The Shu Pohwali had 18 months of 20 days, followed by 5 ominous days. Together, they formed a 52-year cycle. At the end of each cycle, the new fire ceremony extinguished all fires across the empire. Priests ascended a sacred hill to light a new flame in a sacrificial offering symbolizing the rebirth of the world. The Sunstone also told stories of previous eras destroyed by wind, fire, floods, and jaguars. The current era was thought to be the 5th sun. The Aztecs saw time as cyclical, but cycles were not guaranteed to repeat forever. Cosmic renewal required human participation through ritual and sacrifice. In the Andean world of the Inca, time was measured by the rising and setting of the sun in relation to stone pillars. Pairs of towers called sucancas, or pillars, were erected on hillsides. When the sun rose or set between these markers, it signaled solstices and other important dates. The Inca also marked time with seques sacred lines radiating from the Temple of the Sun in Cusco, connecting shrines and water sources across the landscape. Each huaca along a seque had calendrical significance, marking seasonal changes or agricultural tasks. For the Chibcha, Muisca, people of present-day Colombia, the day was divided into 4 parts, and their calendar had a 3-day week, a month of 10 weeks, and a year of 20 months. They inserted a special astronomical year of 37 months to reconcile lunar and solar cycles. Imagine Andean priests watching the sun pass between stone markers while reciting prayers to Inti, the sun god, and using knotted strings called quipu to record time and census data. The Inca year was anchored in agricultural cycles, with major festivals at planting and harvest. Time was inseparable from the landscape, measured by mountains, rivers, and sacred stones. In the cool forests and open fields of ancient Europe, Celtic peoples looked to the moon to mark time. The Coligny calendar, a bronze tablet from Gaul, shows a lunar calendar in which months began at the full moon and were divided into bright and dark fortnights, lasting 29 or 30 days. To align the lunar months with the solar year, intercalary months were inserted regularly. Some later traditions imagine a 13-month tree calendar, but archaeologists favor a 19-year cycle of 235 lunar months, similar to the Metonic cycle. The Celtic year was considered to begin with Samhain, around November 1st, when the veil between worlds thinned. Nights were counted rather than days. Festivals like Imbolc, Beltane, and Lughnasadh marked the quarters and cross-quarters, each associated with fire, fertility, or harvest. In this worldview, time flowed like a wheel. The bright half of the year led to the dark half, and each step was honored with communal feasting and storytelling. To the north, the Norse also followed a lunisolar calendar with intercalary months. Their year had 2 seasons, a long summer and a long winter, each of 6 lunar months. Because the lunar year falls short of the solar year, an extra month was added every 3 years to keep the calendar aligned. This insertion often occurred in winter, near midwinter, or the Yule festival. Norse sagas mention Yule not at the solstice, but a few weeks later, perhaps around the first full moon after the winter solstice. The festivals of the year were anchored to the agricultural cycle: spring plowing, midsummer gatherings, and autumn harvests. The gods, Sol and Mani, drove the sun and moon across the sky, pursued by wolves until the end of the world. Time in Norse cosmology was linear toward Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, yet cyclical in the sense of seasons and social gatherings. Longhouses were built with rows of stones or posts that might align with solar events, and rune stones recorded genealogies and deeds across generations. In the eastern Mediterranean, the Hebrew people developed a lunar calendar grounded in religious observance. The Jewish calendar begins months with the appearance of the new moon. A day begins at sunset, reflecting the opening phrase of Genesis. There was evening, and there was morning. Months average 29 and a half days, so some months have 30 days and others 29. To ensure that agricultural festivals like Passover and Sukkot remain in their proper seasons, a leap month called Adar II is added every 2 or 3 years. Hours are calculated relative to the length of daylight. These seasonal hours, Sha'ot Zemanit, divide the daylight period into 12 equal parts. Time in Jewish thought is cyclical but also ascending, described as an ascending helix. Each cycle of festivals returns, but at a higher spiritual level. History moves forward toward messianic redemption while repeating patterns of the past. Shabbat, the weekly day of rest, sanctifies time itself, transforming ordinary hours into sacred moments. In the Islamic world, time is governed by the lunar Hijri calendar. Each month begins with the first sighting of the new crescent moon. Days begin at sunset, and there is no intercalary month. As a result, Islamic months move through all seasons, drifting about 10 days earlier each solar year. The prohibition of intercalation, Nasa, was instituted to ensure the equality of months and to align with the commands given during the Prophet Muhammad's farewell sermon. The Islamic year has 12 months, with 4 considered sacred, during which war and fighting were traditionally forbidden. The days of the week are named numerically first day, second day, and so on except for Friday, Al-Jum'ah, which is named after the congregational prayer. Time is seen as a trust from God. The Quran swears by time, Al-Asr, to emphasize its importance. The lunar calendar ensures that rituals like fasting in Ramadan and the pilgrimage to Mecca, Hajj, rotate through the seasons, connecting the faithful with varied experiences of hunger, heat, cold, and abundance over a lifetime. In West Africa, the Yoruba people measured time through nature and ritual rather than mechanical clocks. Their calendar is lunar, consisting of 12 months of 29 or 30 days. The week has 4 days, each dedicated to a specific deity, Orunmila, Isu, Ogun, and Sango. Instead of counting hours, the Yoruba observe the position of the sun, the crowing of roosters, the behavior of animals, and the blossoming of plants to determine times for farming, ceremonies, and meetings. For example, early morning begins when roosters crow midday when the sun is overhead, and evening when chickens roost. Market days and festivals guide social life. Divination, using tools like the opal chain, connects daily activities with spiritual time. Time here is rhythmic and communal. It flows like drum beats in ceremonies. Days are not solitary units, but woven into narratives of ancestors and gods, recorded in oriki, praise poetry, and passed down through oral tradition. In the forests and savannas further east, the Igbo people of Nigeria also embraced a cyclical sense of time. The Igbo calendar divides the week into 4 days, Ike, Ori, Afor, and Nkwo, each associated with markets and deities. 7 weeks make a month, and 13 months form a year, with an extra day inserted in some communities. Like the Yoruba, the Igbo measure the day by natural signs. The cock's crow, the setting of the sun, and the roosting of chickens mark the boundaries. Timekeeping is intertwined with spirituality. Dibia, the spiritual healers, use ritual and the movements of the moon to interpret the passage of time. Turtle shells and lunar observations act as cosmic clocks to determine when to hold ceremonies or plant crops. The cycle of life events, birth, naming, marriage, and burial, follows this rhythmic calendar. The ancestors are considered living participants in time, guiding the community from the invisible world. On the far side of the world in the Pacific, the Maori of Aotearoa, New Zealand, have a proverb, Kamua, Kamuri, which means walking backward into the future. In this worldview, people move forward while looking toward the past, guided by the knowledge of ancestors. The past, present, and future coexist. They are connected like a braid. Time is cyclical, tied to the phases of the moon and seasonal cues, but it is also anchored in genealogy. Each action resonates with those who have gone before and those who will come after. As explained in indigenous frameworks, the reef represents the past and the moon represents the future. The pull of ancestry shapes the direction of travel. The Maori Maramataka is a lunar calendar that guides fishing, planting, and ceremonies, indicating which days are favorable for certain activities based on the moon's phases. This is not a system of mechanical hours, but of cosmological relationships. Similarly, many indigenous peoples around the world view time as a fluid, cyclical process tied to natural rhythms. The rising and setting sun, the cycles of the moon, and the positions of stars anchor ceremonies and seasonal activities. In cultures without mechanical clocks, the solstices and equinoxes mark shifts in seasons. The moon governs months, and stars aid navigation and determine the timing of rituals. Time is measured by the environment, such as when certain flowers bloom, when birds migrate, or when constellations like the Pleiades, Matariki, rise. Instead of dividing time into equal segments, the emphasis is on the quality and meaning of particular times and the harmony between human activity and the cosmos. In Australia, Aboriginal dreaming, or dream time, is not a period in the distant past, but a timeless state. It encompasses the creation stories, the present, and the future. There is no single word for time in many Aboriginal languages. The dreaming is a continuous reality, where ancestral spirits created the land and continue to inhabit it. The landscape itself is a clock, with songlines marking journeys and creation events. The stories embed instructions for living, connecting people to their country and to cosmic cycles. Time here is nonlinear. It is simultaneously here and everywhere, swirling like smoke from a fire across the outback. When people tell stories around campfires under starry skies, they are not recalling a dead past, but participating in ongoing creation. The interplay between linear and cyclical notions of time appears across cultures. In Egypt, the concept of Jet referred to linear, unchanging time associated with the god Osiris and the eternal realm of the dead, while Nehe signified cyclical time tied to the sun's daily rebirth. To live forever and ever required participating in both ensuring one's name was remembered, Jet, and aligning one's life with the cycles of the sun and Nile, Nehe. In Greece, Chronos was the march of seconds and seasons, but Kairos allowed meaningful moments to bloom. One might measure the passage of days, but still wait for the opportune moment to propose a new law or harvest olives. In Hindu cosmology, vast cycles of yugas create a sense of macro-time, while daily muhurtas and rituals keep individuals anchored in micro-time. The Aztec 52-year calendar round combined both concepts. Time looped, yet each cycle carried existential significance. Mechanical devices extended human capacity to measure time. The obelisks of Egypt cast long shadows across temple courtyards, dividing the day into segments. Portable sundials in Egypt around 1500 BCE had hour divisions, plus extra marks for twilight. The Merkhet, invented around 600 BCE, used plumb lines aligned with a star to establish north-south lines and mark night hours. Water clocks allowed people to tell time at night or on cloudy days. Elaborate Greek and Roman water clocks used gears and floats to ring bells or open doors at certain hours. In China, incense clocks and candle clocks blended sensory experiences with timekeeping. These devices did not create time, but allowed people to coordinate activities across larger scales, from irrigation to prayer. The invention of the 7-day week was a human choice with cosmic associations. In Babylonia, Each day was dedicated to a luminary, and this pattern passed through the Jewish and Roman worlds into modern calendars. Many cultures have different week lengths. The Igbo and Yoruba have 4-day weeks. The Chibcha had 3-day weeks. The Burmese have 8-day weeks, splitting Wednesday into 2. The choice of 7 may reflect the prominence of 7 celestial bodies, and the lunar phases, a quarter of the lunar month, is roughly 7 days. The week illustrates how timekeeping is both natural and cultural. It draws from the sky but also organizes human labor and rest. Observing natural cycles and encoding them into calendars required careful astronomical knowledge. In China, the synodic month, time between new moons, informed the start of each month, but the year was also anchored by the solar term system, Jeki, which divided the year into 24 segments tied to seasonal changes. Farmers looked to these markers to plant and harvest. In ancient India, the lunar mansions, nakshatras, provided a backdrop for tracking the moon's journey across the sky, guiding rituals and horoscopes. In the Maya lands, the zenith passage of the sun when it passed directly overhead with no shadow signaled when to plant or harvest maize. The Pleiades, or Matariki rising, marked the Maori New Year. Each culture looked up to the stars, but interpreted them through its own myths and needs. By focusing on how time is understood, we also notice differences in how languages handle tense and aspect. Some languages, like Hopi, do not have a tense system based solely on chronological time, but emphasize whether an event is manifested or unmanifested. This linguistic perspective reflects a worldview where potential and actuality matter more than chronological order. In languages of the Pacific Northwest, verbs might encode whether an action is ongoing or completed, but not when it occurred. These linguistic structures show that time is not just measured externally, but internalized through grammar. As civilization advanced, the need for standardized time increased. With trade networks stretching across continents and armies marching across territories, rulers built infrastructure to coordinate activities. In the Roman Empire, timekeeping remained local. Sundials might be corrected for different latitudes, and travelers often adjusted their sense of time as they moved. In the Islamic Golden Age, astronomers built observatories to refine the lunar calendar and to determine prayer times more accurately. In medieval Europe, monasteries used bells to mark the canonical hours, dividing the day into periods of prayer and work. Mechanical clocks with weights and escapements emerged to regulate these rhythms. Yet all these developments built upon the ancient understandings of time as both a cosmic cycle and a human construct. The tension between cosmic time and human experience appears in myths across cultures. The Greek myth of Kronos, another spelling of Kronos, who devoured his children to prevent them from usurping him, depicts time as devouring all things. Yet his son Zeus overthrew him, ushering in a new age. The Hindu story of Vishnu's incarnations across different yugas shows how divine intervention punctuates cycles. In Egyptian mythology, the daily battle between the sun god Ra and the serpent Apophis occurs every night. If Ra wins, the sun rises, but if Apophis ever wins, the world would plunge into darkness. These stories express both the regularity of time and the constant possibility of change. Imagine now walking slowly through the ruins of an old temple at dusk. The light is soft, golden, and the air smells of dust and carved stone. You hear the gentle rustle of wind through pillars and the distant call of an owl. You touch a wall, feeling the cool, worn surface of limestone. Such sensory details ground our understanding of time. The wall has stood for millennia. Its stones witness countless sunrises and sunsets. Each etching, each crack, tells of seasons, floods, and hands that built it. In this quiet, you realize that time is not only measured by devices or calendars. It is etched in the material world and remembered by people who live within it. Even as civilizations differ in their calendars and mythologies, certain patterns emerge. The observation of celestial bodies, the need to coordinate agricultural activities, and the desire to mark sacred events are universal. People everywhere developed systems to reconcile the lunar month with the solar year. They inserted extra days or months to prevent seasons from drifting. They connected time to deities and cosmic forces. They used time to structure social life, identifying market days, rest days, and festival days. They used time to recall ancestry and to imagine the future. Across time and space, there is also a shared sense that time can be felt differently. Waiting for a loved one might make hours feel long. Participating in a festival can make hours fly by. For hunters and gatherers, time might be measured by hunger, the growth of berries, or the migration of herds. For sailors, time is measured by stars, currents, and the winds. For farmers, it is measured by rainfall and the length of days. For artisans, time is measured by the drying of clay or the cooling of metal. For priests, time is measured by the rising of specific stars or the sounding of gongs. Thus, time is relative to occupation and environment. Consider the festival cycles. In Egypt, the Opet festival celebrated the rejuvenation of the king and the gods, timed to the flooding of the Nile. In Mesopotamia, the Akitu festival marked the new year and the reenactment of the creation story, aligning with the spring equinox. In ancient China, the spring and autumn sacrifices were tied to seasonal markers. The Mid-Autumn festival celebrated the harvest moon. In India, festivals like Diwali and Holi corresponded to lunar phases and seasonal changes. The Maya celebrated the end of Baktun cycles with elaborate ceremonies. Each festival reinforced the link between community and cosmic cycles, making time a shared experience. Music and time are intimately connected. Drums, bells, and chants create rhythms that mark durations and synchronize groups. In African traditions, drum beats communicated distances and times. Different rhythms signaled different events. Gregorian chants in monasteries provided a sonic framework for prayer. Chinese temple bells rung at dawn, midday, and dusk, aligning meditation with the cosmos. In Indian classical music, ragas are associated with specific times of day. Playing them outside their time is considered disharmonious. The heartbeat-like rhythm of percussion instruments may remind us of our own internal clocks. The experience of time is also shaped by technology. The invention of writing allowed people to record historical events and to project into the future. The ability to store food reduced the urgency of immediate harvesting, altering perceptions of seasons. The invention of money and contracts created obligations extending into the future, requiring more precise timekeeping. The development of ships and trade across oceans necessitated better navigation and time measurement. The invention of mechanical clocks regularized time, but also removed it from the natural cycles of light and dark. Each technological shift reshaped human relationships with time, but the roots of these changes are found in the ancient systems we have explored. Time can be sacred or mundane. Sacred time is set apart, marked by rituals, prayers, and songs. It often commemorates myths, historical events, or agricultural cycles. Mundane time is everyday, filled with chores, work, and resting. Yet even mundane time can be infused with ritual, lighting a lamp at sunset, washing hands before meals, or telling stories before bed. In many traditional societies, there was no clear separation between sacred and mundane. All time was potentially sacred because the divine was immanent. The act of counting time itself could be an offering to the gods. Language carries metaphors of time. We speak of time as moving like a river, as something we have or lose, as money we spend. In ancient Egypt, time could be thought of as a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. In Sumer, time was a procession of the gods. In China, time flowed like a dragon weaving through the sky. In India, time was a wheel, turning with 4 spokes representing the yugas. In the Maya world, time was a staircase of cycles that one climbed and descended. these metaphors shape our emotional response to time. They can calm or distress us. They can encourage patience or urgency. Let us return to the present moment. Imagine yourself in a quiet room, lying down, perhaps preparing to sleep. The stories of ancient civilizations swirl gently like smoke. You see images of obelisks casting long shadows, of incense clocks releasing gentle fragrances, of maize fields under a bright sun, of snow blanketing a Norse village during a midwinter feast. You hear the dripping of water from a clepsydra, the soft hum of bees in a Celtic meadow, the call of a muezzin echoing through a moonlit city, the chant of Vedic hymns at dawn, the drums of Yoruba festivals. Each sound is a heartbeat, a measure of time. As the narrative slows, think of the cyclical patterns in your own life, the daily rhythm of waking and sleeping, the weekly rhythm of work and rest, the yearly rhythm of seasons and celebrations. Think of the longer cycles, childhood, adulthood, old age. Think of the lineage of ancestors stretching behind you, guiding your steps, and the future generations that will inherit the earth. You are part of this flowing river of time. Your days are like drops of water in a vast ocean. We have walked through ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, China, India, Mesoamerica, the Andes, Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. We have touched calendars carved in stone and calendars sung in stories. We have listened to myths that personify time and to rituals that mark its passing. We have felt the tension between linear progress and cyclical return. We have seen how different cultures created rhythms to suit their landscapes, cosmologies, and social needs. Yet in the midst of this diversity, a common thread runs, a desire to find order in the heavens and meaning in our days. As this story draws to a close, let the rhythms settle. Let the images of ancient timekeepers fade into soft darkness. Feel the comfort of knowing that people long ago gazed at the same moon and stars you see tonight. They too wondered about the passing of days and years. They too created stories to make sense of it. Their voices whisper across millennia, carried by wind, water, and memory. The journey has been long and gentle, moving like a slow river. Now it is time to rest. Close your eyes. Let the quiet of the night embrace you. Let the ancient rhythms cradle your thoughts. The world will continue its cycles. The sun will rise and set. The moon will wax and wane. The stars will wheel overhead. Within that great clockwork, you find your place, your moment, your breath. As we reflect further on the Egyptian world, we can linger on the names and rhythms of their months. The year began with the season of inundation, Akhet, when the Nile overflowed its banks, depositing nutrient-rich silt. Months like Thoth, Paopi, and Hathor marked the rising waters, the receding floods, and the planting of crops. Each month had 3 weeks of 10 days, and days were numbered simply from 1 to 10. The addition of 5 extra days of pagomenal days was not tied to any month, but served to align the civil calendar with the heliacal rising of Sirius. During these days, myth tells that the gods Osiris, Isis, Seth, Nephthys, and Horus were born. The decans, groups of stars appearing just before dawn at different times of the year, served as markers of hours and seasons. On the interior of tombs, star charts show rows of these decans accompanied by hieroglyphic texts describing their positions. Priests at night would observe which decans rose just before sunrise to know the hour. Imagine lying under a deep black sky, counting the stars as they emerge one by one, each representing a measure of night. In the mythic imagination of Egypt, time itself was a deity. The god Ha represented infinity and boundlessness, often depicted holding a palm rib used to count years. Another aspect was the goddess Seshat, patron of writing and measurement, wearing a headdress shaped like a 7-pointed star. She recorded the length of a pharaoh's reign and aligned temples with the stars. When a new temple was built, The ritual of stretching the cord involved the king and Seishat, laying out the building's orientation using ropes and pegs aligned to the cardinal directions. This ritual anchored cosmic order to earthly architecture. The concept of Ma'at truth, balance, and order governed time itself. When Ma'at was upheld, the sun rose and set regularly, the Nile flooded, and the seasons followed their course. If Ma'at were disrupted, chaos, Isfet, threatened to engulf the world. Thus, timekeeping was not just practical, but moral. In Mesopotamia, the calendar also encoded the relationship between humans and gods. Each month was named after a festival or a deity. The month of Nisanu heralded the barley harvest and celebrated the god Marduk. Tammuz commemorated the dying and rising god Dumuzid, whose annual death mirrored the searing heat of summer. Ululu, Elul, contained purification rites and the Akitu festival, marking the new year. Intercalary months were added by the priests, often based on observations of the spring equinox or the autumn. Because months began with the first sighting of a lunar crescent, skilled observers watched the western horizon at dusk, scanning for the slender curve of light. Cloudy weather could delay official recognition of the new month, underscoring the link between nature and society. The 7-day week may have been adopted because the lunar cycle lasts roughly 29.5 days, making 4 weeks per month. Each day honored a heavenly body and a corresponding deity. Shamash the sun, Sin the moon, Nabu, Mercury, Ishtar, Venus, Nergal, Mars, Marduk, Jupiter, and Ninurta, Saturn. Life revolved around these cycles. Families offered sacrifices on specific days, and kings timed military campaigns according to omens derived from celestial events. The sexagesimal system, unique to Mesopotamia, offered advantages for dividing circles and calculating time. Because 60 has many divisors, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, it allowed fractions to be expressed easily. Sumerian scribes used place-value notation to perform multiplication and division, enabling them to track planetary movements and predict eclipses. This system influenced not only time, but also angles. A circle has 360 degrees, perhaps because the year was thought to have 360 days. The concept of a 24-hour day might have arisen from combining two 12-hour cycles, one for day and one for night. These innovations demonstrate how mathematical abstractions derived from observation can reshape daily life. In Greek city-states, calendars were local, reflecting civic identity. The Athenian calendar used lunar months named after festivals. Hekatombion opened the year with sacrifices of 100 oxen. Boedromion hosted the mysteries of Eleusis, and Anthesterion celebrated Dionysus with wine tastings. Because lunar and solar years do not align, the Athenians added extra months, a 19-year cycle with 7 leap months, to keep festivals in their proper seasons. Public officials called prytanes took turns managing state affairs for specific portions of the year. The length of their terms was based on the calendar. Instead of consistent hours, days were divided into 12 daylight hours and 12 nighttime hours that lengthened and shortened with the seasons. Greeks knew that equinoctial hours, hours of equal length, would ease calculation, but their clocks and calendars still followed variable hours in daily use. This created a dynamic relationship between cosmic time and civic time. Philosophers debated time's nature. Aristotle defined time as the number of motion in respect to before and after. Without motion, there would be no time. He pondered whether time existed independently of the human mind, or whether it was a mental construct. For him, the present was not a duration, but a boundary between past and future. In contrast, Stoic philosophers believed time was corporeal, a physical force that influences events. Epicureans held that the past and future were non-existent. Only the present mattered. These debates echo in our own minds when we contemplate whether time is a flowing substance or merely a method of ordering events. Greek engineers built devices to measure time with increasing precision. The water clock, or clepsydra, was used in law courts to time speeches. Water dripped from a container at a steady rate, limiting the length of oratory. Ctesibius of Alexandria developed a more complex water clock with gears and a float regulating the flow, enabling it to display hours automatically. The Tower of the Winds in Athens, built in the 1st century BCE, combined sundials with a water clock inside and a wind vane on top. Its 8 sides were carved with personifications of the winds, each associated with different weather and seasons. The building served as a public timekeeper and meteorological station. Another marvel, the Antikythera mechanism, found in a shipwreck, may have been used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. It contained dozens of gears representing the cycles of the sun, moon, and possibly planets. Although the mechanism's exact function remains debated, it demonstrates the sophistication with which Greeks integrated mathematics and craftsmanship to track time. Crossing the Mediterranean to Rome, we find a society that, while adopting Greek knowledge, developed its own timekeeping customs. The Roman calendar originally had 10 months, with March as the first month. This is why September, October, November, and December derive from Latin numbers for 7, 8, 9, and 10. Later, January and February were added, making a 12-month year. The Pontifex Maximus, chief priest, determined when to insert an intercalary month. In 46 BCE, Julius Caesar reformed the calendar, aligning it with the solar year. The Julian calendar instituted a year of 365 days with a leap day every 4 years. This reform simplified the calculation of time and allowed holidays and harvests to fall consistently in their seasons. The names of months honored gods and emperors, July for Julius, August for Augustus. Roman daily life used hours called horae. The first hour, prima hora, began at sunrise, the third, tertia, mid-morning, the sixth, sexta, midday, and the ninth, nona, mid-afternoon. These hours varied in length with the seasons. Sundials dotted public spaces. Water clocks allowed measurement indoors. The phrase from sunrise to sunset defined working hours, while midday, noon, became associated with rest and prayer. Roman festivals, Saturnalia in December, Lupercalia in February, the Floralia in April, followed the calendar. Saturnalia reversed social order. Slaves were served by their masters, and gifts were exchanged. Time here was intimately tied to social roles and power dynamics. In East Asia, the Chinese lunisolar calendar remains one of the oldest continuously used calendars. 12 months alternate between 29 and 30 days, with a 13th month inserted every 2 to 3 years to keep the year aligned with the seasons. Each year is named after one of the 12 zodiac animals cycling through the earthly branches, combined with one of 10 heavenly stems representing yin and yang forms of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, water. This 60-year cycle is known as the sexagenary cycle. The Chinese New Year, Spring Festival, begins on the second new moon after the winter solstice, marking the start of spring. Families gather, ancestors are honored, and firecrackers scare away evil spirits. Lantern Festival, Dragon Boat Festival, and Mid-Autumn Festival follow, each tied to lunar phases and seasonal changes. The Gengdian system divided the night into 5 night watches, Geng, and the day into 10 smaller units, Dian, measured by beating of drums or gongs. Chinese cosmology viewed time and space through the lens of the Tao. The Tao Te Ching describes how man models himself on earth, earth on heaven, heaven on the Tao, and the Tao on that which is naturally so. Time was part of the natural order, not a linear march, but a rhythmic flow of yin and yang. The concept of Shai refers to the configuration of circumstances at a particular time. Seizing the right moment, kairos in Greek, was crucial for success. Chinese medicine related the flow of qi through the body to times of day. Different organs were thought to peak in energy at certain hours, guiding herbal treatments and acupuncture. Festivals were opportunities to harmonize with cosmic rhythms. For example, eating glutinous rice dumplings during the Dragon Boat Festival honored the poet Q Yuan and aligned with the summer heat. In India, the multiplicity of calendars reflects cultural diversity. Northern India often follows a lunar calendar, Panchanga, while southern regions combine solar and lunar systems. The lunar day, or Tithi, marks the angle between the sun and moon. There are 30 Tithis in a lunar month, and each is considered auspicious or inauspicious. Festivals align with Tithis. Diwali occurs on the new moon of the Kartika month, while Holi coincides with the full moon of Falguna. The solar calendar divides the year into 12 months beginning with Mesh, Aries, and solar birthdays, Surya Grahan, are celebrated annually. The week, Vara, is named after planets. Each day has its deity and associated color, food, and ritual. The concept of Rahu and Ketu, the lunar nodes, influences eclipse timings and astrology. Hindu cosmology extends far beyond human timescales. 4 yugas: Satya, 1.728 million years; Treta, 1.296 million; Dvapara, 864,000; and Kali, 432,000, make up a Chatur Yuga. 10 such cycles form a Manvantara presided over by a different Manu, progenitor of mankind. 71 cycles create a day of the deity Indra, and 14 such days constitute a day of Brahma. A day of Brahma, Kalpa, lasts 432 billion years, followed by an equally long night. 100 Brahma years equal 311 Vem, or 4 trillion years, after which the universe dissolves and is recreated. Within this cosmic framework, human life is but a blink. Yet rituals like Sandhya Vandana are performed thrice daily, marking dawn, noon, and dusk, aligning individual lives with cosmic cycles. Water is poured, mantras are recited, and the sun is saluted. This practice harmonizes microtime with macrotime. Indian myths dramatize time's power. In the Bhagavata Purana, the god Vishnu appears in the cosmic form of Kalapurusha, with stars for hair and planets for ornaments. The god Shiva dances the Tandava, a dance of creation and destruction, accompanied by drums that beat the rhythm of time. His hair entangles the river Ganges, representing the flow of time from mountains to ocean. The goddess Kali, whose name derives from Kala, time, wears a garland of skulls and dances on the inert body of Shiva, signifying time's dominance over all beings. Yet she also liberates souls from the cycle of rebirth. Thus, time is both a destroyer and a liberator. In Mesoamerica, we can delve deeper into the sacred and solar calendars. The Tzolk'in's 20-day signs include symbols like Imix, crocodile; Ik, wind; Akbal, night; Kan, seed; Chikchan, serpent; Kimi, death; Manik, deer; Lamat, rabbit; Moloch, water; Oke, dog; Chuan, monkey; Eb, road; Ben, reed; Ix, jaguar; Men, eagle; Kib, vulture; Kaban, earth; Etznab, flint; Kawak, storm; and Ajah, sunlord. Each day sign interacts with numbers 1 through 13, creating a 260-day matrix with rich divinatory meanings. The Hobbs months, Pop, Wo, Sip, Sots, Sek, Sul, Yakskin, Mol, Chen, Yaks, Sak, Ke, Mak, Kihankin, Muon, Pax, Kayab, and Kumku each carry agricultural or cosmological significance. The 5 days called Wayeb were considered unlucky. People avoided travel or major decisions during this time. The calendar round, Habd Tzolk'in, of 52 years, was seen as a lifetime. At its completion, great ceremonies ensured the continuation of the world. The long count system extended beyond human memory. Its units included the kin, 1 day; Weenel, 20 days; Tun, 18 winels, or 360 days; Katun, 20 tuns, or 7,200 days. Baktun, 20 katuns, or 144,000 days. Piktun, 20 baktuns. Kalabtun, 20 piktuns. And Kinchaltun, 20 kalabtuns. Stelae across Maya cities record events such as dynastic accessions, battles, and rituals, often using these counts. The creation date of 13.0.0.0.04, Ajah 8 Kumku, August 11th, 3114 BCE, marks the beginning of the current era. When the long count rolled over to 13.0.0.0 on December 21st, 2012, some speculated about apocalypse. However, Maya texts describe this moment as a transition to a new cycle, not an end. In their cosmology, time is a series of cycles nested within cycles, like gears in a great celestial machine. The Aztec ritual calendar Tonalpohualli similarly assigned meaning to each day. Day signs included Chipactli, crocodile, Ehecatl, wind, Cali, house, Quetzalcoatl, lizard, Coatl, snake, Miquistli, death, Mazatl, deer, Tochtli, rabbit, Atl, water, Itzcuintli, dog, Ozomatli, monkey, Malinali, grass, Acatl, reed, Alcalatl, jaguar, Quautli, eagle, Coscaquatli, vulture, all-in, movement, Tecpatl, flint, Quiahuitl, rain, and Xochitl, flower. The number 13, sacred to the Aztecs, combined with these day signs to structure rituals and divination. The 365-day Xiuhpohualli's months, Chiventenas, had names like Atlcahualo, water cessation, Tlaquexipehualestli, flaying of men, Tozostantli, small vigil, and Xutecutli, turquoise lord. Each month contained festivals to gods such as Huitzilopochtli or Sipitotec. The new fire ceremony, held every 52 years, involved extinguishing hearth fires and lighting a new sacred flame on a hilltop, symbolizing cosmic renewal. Participants awaited the heart of a sacrificed victim to ignite the fire. If the flame failed, they believed the world would end. In the Andean highlands, the Inca calendar combined solar and lunar observations. Two main seasons, rainy and dry, structured agricultural life. Solar pillars on the horizon marked solstices and equinoxes. When the sun rose or set between pairs of pillars, priests announced the change of season. The Sequay system radiating from the Coricancha temple included 41 lines, each containing huacas, shrines that corresponded to days in the Inca calendar. Ceremonies like Inti Raymi, Festival of the Sun at winter solstice, involved elaborate processions, dances, and offerings to Inti. Another festival, Koilur Riti, celebrated the Pleiades' reappearance, signaling the return of productive seasons. The Muisca, or Chibcha, used a calendar with 20 months of 36 days and an intercalary month to reconcile lunar and solar cycles. They divided the day into 4 parts and held a 3-day week. Markets rotated accordingly. Their world balanced rational observation and mythic interpretation. Celtic timekeeping invites us into a world of mist and green hills. The Coligny calendar's 62 lunar months cover 5 years, with intercalary months inserted to align with the solar cycle. The months bear names like Samonios, Dumanios, Rivros, and Anagantios. Each month is divided into fortnights of bright and dark days, perhaps reflecting the waxing and waning of the moon. Some months were labeled Matos, lucky, and others Anmatos, unlucky. The year began with Samonios, likely around the time of Samhain. Celtic myths emphasize the turning of the year at Samhain, when the door between worlds opens and the dead and fairies can cross over. Beltane, at the opposite side of the wheel, celebrated the beginning of summer with bonfires. The interplay of light and darkness, life and death, shaped their perception of time. Celtic myth introduces us to deities who personify time. The goddess Brigid presides over spring and the hearth. She brings inspiration and new life. The Cailleach, an ancient hag, rules winter and storms. She is said to turn to stone when spring arrives. The triple goddess maiden, mother and crone, represents the cycles of life. The hero Fionn mac Cumhaill gained wisdom by sucking his thumb after burning it while cooking the salmon of knowledge. His access to timeless knowledge shows how myth collapses time. Druids, as keepers of lore, memorized histories and genealogies, preserving communal memory in an oral culture. Time here is guarded by poets and trees. The Norse sagas, composed under flickering lamplight during long winters, present a worldview where time and fate are intertwined. The Norns Urd, past, Verdandi, present, and Skuld, future, weave the fates of gods and men. Their loom stands beneath Yggdrasil, the world tree, whose roots reach into wells of wisdom. The sagas recount how the gods created the world from the body of the giant Ymir, placed the sun and moon in the sky, and set Sol and Mani to drive them across the heavens. Wolves Skull and Hati chase them, and Hati chase, promising one day to devour them. This cosmic chase sets the rhythm of day and night. The gods must maintain order through rituals and fairness, otherwise chaos threatens. Festivals like Yule, Giol, mark midwinter. People feasted and offered to the gods, hoping to secure a good year. The inclusion of intercalary months ensured that Yule coincided with the full moon after the winter solstice. Ragnarok, the ultimate end of the world prophecy, adds a linear dimension to the cyclical Norse year. Yet even after Ragnarok, some myths hint at a new world emerging, implying renewal. In Jewish tradition, each month's new moon is sanctified in a ceremony called Kiddush Levana. Men, women, and children step outside, gaze at the slender crescent, and recite blessings. They jump as if toward the moon, expressing joy at the renewal of time. The months Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Shavat, and Adar anchor festivals. Passover in Nisan commemorates the Exodus. Sukkot in Tishrei recalls the desert wanderings. Purim in Adar recounts deliverance from Haman's plot. The calendar inserts a second Adar 7 times in 19 years to keep Passover in spring. The counting of the Omer, 49 days between Passover and Shavuot, structures anticipation and reflection. Hours, called Shayot Zemanit, adjust with the seasons. Prayer times shift accordingly. The day begins at sunset. The Shema prayer is recited when 3 stars appear. Shabbat, the 7th day, sanctifies time. Work ceases, candles are lit, wine is blessed, and songs welcome the bride of Shabbat. Time becomes a sanctuary. Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, views time as a spiral. Each recurrence of a holiday invites a new opportunity to access spiritual energy. The Sephirot, emanations of the divine, channel light through time. Human actions can hasten or delay redemption. The idea of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, suggests that history is moving toward a future perfection, but requires human participation. The past is not gone. It reverberates in rituals and laws. Each generation retells the Exodus story as if personally exiting Egypt, collapsing time into a shared present. In Islamic practice, time punctuates the rhythm of daily life through the 5 daily prayers. Salat. Fajr is offered at dawn when the first light appears, Dur at midday, Asr in the afternoon, Maghrib just after sunset, and Isha at nightfall. The call to prayer, Adhan, floats across rooftops, reciting Allahu Akbar in melodious tones. Friday, Al-Jum'ah, is a weekly congregation. The Imam delivers a sermon and the community prays together. The Islamic lunar calendar's months include Muharram, a sacred month, Safar, Rabi al-Awwal, the Prophet's birth month, Rabi al-Thani, Jumada al-Awwal, Jumada al-Thani, Rajab, another sacred month, Shaban, Ramadan, month of fasting, Shawwal, Dhu al-Qada, and Dhu al-Hijjah, month of pilgrimage. Fasting during Ramadan from dawn to sunset teaches discipline, empathy, and closeness to God. The timing of fasting and prayers depends on the sun and moon, making time integral to faith. The Hajj pilgrimage performed in Dhu al-Hijjah has rituals timed to specific days. Pilgrims throw stones at pillars symbolizing Satan, spend a night in the plain of Muzdalifa, and circle the Kaaba. Because the calendar moves through the seasons, these rituals can occur in heat or cold, teaching adaptability. Islamic scholars also advanced the science of timekeeping. Observatories in Baghdad, Cairo, and Samarkand refined astronomical tables. Ibn al-Shatir's works corrected Ptolemaic models, improving predictions for prayer times and Qibla directions. Astrolabes allowed navigators to calculate local time and direction by measuring the altitude of stars. Sundials in mosques helped determine the times for prayer. The use of waqfs, charitable endowments, funded timekeepers and muezzins, demonstrating the social importance of accurate time. On the coast of West Africa, Yoruba divination offers another perspective on time. Babalawos, diviners, cast palm nuts and interpret patterns in the Odu Ifa, a vast corpus of verses recited for guidance. Each verse relates myths, teachings, and advice for specific circumstances. The timing of consultations often depends on market days, lunar phases, or personal milestones. The 4-day week dedicated to Orunmila, wisdom, Esu, messenger, Ogun, iron, and Sango, thunder, creates a rhythm for rituals. Festivals like Osunosogbo honor river goddesses. Egungun masquerades connect the living with ancestors. The Ayo festival turns the streets of Lagos into a sea of white-clad masqueraders. During these events, drummers set rhythms that align the community's steps. The Yoruba concept of Ash, the life force that powers creation, flows through time, activated through speech, song, and dance. Igbo cosmology similarly weaves time with spirituality. The Afa divination system uses an array of seeds or stones to communicate with spirits. The 4-day week governs the timing of markets, visits, and offerings. New Yam festivals mark the start of the harvest season, accompanied by dancing, masquerades, manwu, and offering of yams to the gods and ancestors. The moon plays a vital role. Its phases dictate when certain rituals are performed. In some communities, turtle shells with grooves were used as counting devices to track months. Stories of the goddess Allah, guardian of the earth and morality, teach that honoring the earth ensures fertility and order. Time is thus ecological, moral, and communal. Across the Pacific, Maori timekeeping is anchored in the Maramataka, a lunar calendar that dictates fishing, gardening, and ceremonial activities. Each night of the lunar cycle has a name and characteristics. Wiro, dark moon, is considered a time of low energy. Tamatea nights are dynamic and good for travel. Rakaunui, full moon, is plentiful and energizing. Elders teach which nights are favorable for planting kumara, sweet potato, and which are not. Matariki, the Pleiades, appears in midwinter, signaling the Maori New Year. Families gather to remember the dead, plan for the year ahead, and feast. Kamua, Kamuri reminds that one moves forward by looking backward. Ancestors' experiences guide future decisions. The world is perceived as an intergenerational continuum. Indigenous cultures in North America have diverse ways of understanding time. The Lakota speak of the hoop of the people, a circle representing the cycles of life and the interconnectedness of all beings. The Haida measure seasons by the arrival of salmon, the blooming of salmonberry, and the migration of whales. The Navajo, or Diné, base their calendar on the movement of the sun and stars. Ceremonies like the night chant, Yebichai, occur at specific times to restore harmony, Hoto. In these cultures, time is relational. Ceremonies maintain balance between humans, spirits, and the land. Aboriginal Australians recognize multiple seasons beyond the simple 4. In the Yolngu calendar of Arnhem Land, seasons include Rarandar, wet windy season, Dulawa, dry season, and Wurdar, build-up season. Each season is identified by changes in flora, fauna, and weather. The Noongar people of Western Australia observe 6 seasons: Birak, first summer; Bunuru, second summer; Jaren, autumn; Makuru, winter; Jilba, first spring; and Kambarang, second spring. Time is read in the flowering of banksias, the call of the koel cuckoo, and the nesting of sea turtles. Dreamtime stories, transmitted through song and painting, encode ecological knowledge and moral laws. They describe how ancestral beings shaped rivers and mountains. Performing these songs ensures that the land continues to thrive. Our journey through time would be incomplete without considering how time is measured in different natural environments. In Arctic regions, the sun does not set in summer or rise in winter. The Sami people of northern Scandinavia historically followed the migrations of reindeer, measuring time by the animals' movements rather than by hours. In deserts, Bedouin tribes used the stars for navigation and timekeeping. The appearance of certain stars signaled when to move to new pastures. In rainforests, the chorus of insects and birds marks the hours. Certain species call only at dawn or dusk, providing natural cues. On islands, tides are crucial. The Maori term for time, wa, can refer to both the time of day and the tide. For fisherfolk, full and new moons determine when the sea returns crabs and fish. Thus, timekeeping is intimately related to the environment. The concept of time also interacts with social organization. In hierarchical societies, rulers often control calendars. Egyptian pharaohs announced the new year. Mesopotamian kings presided over the Akitu festival. Roman emperors named months after themselves. In indigenous societies, time may be more decentralized, with each family or clan observing natural cues. Calendars can be instruments of power, centralizing authority, or unifying communities. The ability to predict eclipses or flood cycles confers prestige and legitimacy. Priests, astrologers, and astronomers thus wielded significant influence, guiding decisions from planting to warfare. Time and art intertwine as well. In visual arts, time can be depicted through sequences. Egyptian tomb paintings show the deceased moving through afterlife stages. Maya codices illustrate celestial cycles. Celtic knots intertwine without beginning or end. In music, rhythm organizes time into patterns, creating expectation and release. In dance, movement through space becomes a representation of time. Storytelling, both oral and written, unfolds over time, inviting the listener to journey through events. The pacing of stories influences emotional response. Slow, deliberate narratives like this one can calm and soothe, while fast-paced tales can excite. We might also reflect on personal time. Each person experiences time subjectively. For a child, a year is a vast expanse. For an elder, decades may feel compressed. During times of joy, moments seem to fly. In times of anxiety, minutes stretch. Memories interweave. A scent or song can transport you to a distant moment. Sleep itself alters time perception. Dreams compress hours into minutes. In deep meditation, time can dissolve altogether. Ancient cultures recognized these subjective experiences. Greek poets spoke of kairos, the right moment. Chinese sages wrote of shi, the opportune configuration. Indian yogis sought samadhi, a timeless state. Zen masters pointed to the present as all there is. By exploring these perspectives, we gain insight into our own relationship with time. Moreover, many cultures envision time as a spiral or helix. The Jewish ascending helix concept sees each annual cycle as revisiting the same events, but at a higher level of understanding. Hindu yugas repeat in cycles, but gradually diminish. The cycle begins anew after destruction. The Chinese yin-yang symbol illustrates dynamic balance. Darkness yields to light and back again. Indigenous frameworks like Kamua, Kamuri depict forward movement while looking backward. These metaphors invite us to view time as both repetitive and progressive. Our personal lives may follow patterns: work week, weekends, holidays. Yet we hopefully grow and learn with each cycle. Recognizing this can impart patience and humility. As we move closer to the end of our narrative, consider the interplay of time and memory. Memories are not static. They are reconstructed each time we recall them. They can be influenced by stories told by grandparents, by photographs, by songs. In cultures with oral traditions, memory is collective. Elders store community history and pass it on with embellishments. This transmission shapes identity. Time thus becomes a social memory. When we listen to myths of creation or watch a festival that has been celebrated for thousands of years, we participate in the memory of a people. We carry these stories forward, adding our own experiences. We might also think of time in relation to place. The ancient Egyptian temple at Karnak has columns inscribed with dates of kings and festivals. Standing there, one can imagine processions of priests and sacred boats carrying statues of gods. The ziggurats of Mesopotamia, such as those at Ur and Babylon, are layered time capsules. Each platform was built upon older ruins, literally stacking time. The Parthenon in Athens bears scars of wars and religious conversions. Its marble glows golden under the sun, connecting past and present. Chinese temples feature time-worn incense burners and bells. Inca walls in Cusco still stand with perfect precision. Celtic standing stones align with solstices. Norse runestones list genealogies. Yoruba shrines shelter ancient carved wooden figures. These physical remnants anchor time in place, providing continuity amid change. The environment often preserves time. Ice cores contain layers of snow representing years. Tree rings record seasons. Sediment layers keep chronological records of floods and droughts. Similarly, human artifacts record time. Pottery styles shift over centuries. Coins bear dates. Manuscripts show calligraphic trends. Archaeologists read these signs like calendars, reconstructing sequences of events. Yet intangible heritage, like songs and rituals, also preserve time, though they may change with each performance. When we dance or sing ancient songs, we become living calendars. Our understanding of time is also shaped by mathematics and physics. The ancient Greeks measured time by celestial spheres. Newton later conceived of absolute time, flowing uniformly without relation to anything external. Einstein showed that time is relative to speed and gravity. Clocks run slower near massive objects or at high velocities. Quantum theory further complicates time, suggesting it may not be fundamental. In string theory, time might emerge from more basic interactions. Indigenous views often align more with relativity than Newtonian mechanics. Time is relational and context-dependent. Contemplating these theories can broaden our perception. Finally, we come to ourselves. As you lie in bed, breathing slowly, you might feel the weight of centuries upon you like a light blanket. You might picture yourself in a chain of ancestors, each living in their own rhythmic world. You might sense the earth spinning, the moon circling, the sun moving through the galaxy. You might imagine future generations listening to stories about how we understood time. In these moments, time dissolves into awareness. You realize that while clocks tick and calendars turn, the essence of time is experienced by consciousness. In deep rest, time feels like the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Our journey across ancient civilizations has been long and meandering, as befits a narrative meant to be listened to at night. We have not rushed. Instead, we have strolled through temples and forests, across deserts and mountains, along rivers and coasts. We have listened to the drip of water, the rustle of leaves, the distant chant of monks, the call of roosters, the beat of drums, and the whisper of prayer. We have traced the arcs of suns and moons, counted the dots on stelae, read the patterns of ropes and shells. We have considered both cosmic cycles that span billions of years and daily routines measured by hearts and shadows. we have seen that time can be an orderly sequence, or a fluid circle, a deity or a device, a story or a silence. As the final minutes of this story approach, feel the pace slow further. Imagining you have walked through a long hallway of history, you now approach a tranquil chamber. In this space, there are no clocks, no calendars, no deadlines. Only the soft glow of candlelight and the faint scent of incense remain. You sit quietly, listening to your own heartbeat. Outside, the world continues its timeless dance. Inside, there is only stillness. Good night. While ancient civilizations from the Mediterranean to the Americas and Africa offer extensive insights into timekeeping, cultures of Persia and Central Asia also contribute richly to our understanding of time. The ancient Persians, influenced by Zoroastrianism, developed a calendar with 12 months of 30 days each. 5 additional days, known as the Gatha days, were appended at the end of the year. Each day of the month had its own name, often honoring a Yazata, divinity, or aspect of nature. Nowruz, the Persian New Year, marked the vernal equinox and remains celebrated today. It represents renewal, light returning, and the victory of life over darkness. Families set a half-seen table with 7 symbolic items, beginning with the letter S: sabze, sprouted greens for rebirth; samanu, wheat pudding for sweetness; senjed, olister fruit for love; seer, garlic for health; seb, apple for beauty; somak, sumac for sunrise; and sirke, vinegar for patience. Fire-jumping rituals during Chaharshan Besuri purge misfortune. Time here is cyclical. Each year is a victory of good, Ahura Mazda, over evil, Angra Mainyu, and participants reaffirm their place in cosmic harmony. Zoroastrian cosmology conceives of time as having a beginning and an end. According to tradition, the world will last for 12,000 years, divided into 3 ages of 3,000 years each, and a final 3,000-year period of struggle. In the final stage, a savior called Saoshyant will appear, and the resurrection of the dead will occur. This linear narrative contrasts with cyclical agricultural rhythms, but coexists with seasonal rituals. The Farvardigan festival honors ancestral spirits returning for 10 days at the end of the year. During this time, families clean and illuminate their homes, leaving food and water for the Fravashis, souls, acknowledging that the boundaries between past and present blur. The interplay of cosmic linear time and seasonal cycles resonates with other cultures' dual conceptions of time. Beyond Persia, the Ethiopian calendar provides another fascinating adaptation. Rooted in the ancient Alexandrian and Coptic calendars, it features 12 months of 30 days and a 13th month, Pagum, of 5 or 6 days in leap years. The Ethiopian New Year, called Enkutatsh, falls on September 11th or 12th in the Gregorian calendar, marking the end of the rainy season and the blossoming of yellow mescal flowers. Ethiopian timekeeping also divides day and night into 12-hour cycles. However, the start of the day is at 6 a.m. rather than midnight or dawn. So, 7 a.m. is called the first hour of the day. When travelers visit Ethiopia, they must adjust not only to a different calendar year, which is about 7 to 8 years behind the Gregorian, but also to a different daily time. This alternate temporal framework encourages awareness of cultural diversity in timekeeping. The Coptic calendar used by Egyptian Christians closely mirrors the ancient Egyptian civil calendar. It contains 12 months of 30 days and a short month of 5 or 6 days. Months like Thout, Paopi, and Hathor preserve the names of their pharaonic predecessors. The Coptic year begins on 11th of September, 12th 10th September, in the year before a leap year. Saints' days and fasts are fixed relative to this calendar, giving Coptic communities a rhythm distinct from both Muslim and Western calendars. The Copts also commemorate the flight of the Holy Family into Egypt at specific times, linking their religious history to the land's ancient rhythms. In the high plateau of Tibet, the calendar reflects a confluence of Chinese and Indian influences. It is lunisolar, with 12 or 13 months, each beginning and ending with a new moon. The Tibetan New Year, Losar, occurs in late winter and involves burning incense, hanging prayer flags, and making offerings to household gods. The calendar incorporates a 60-year cycle similar to the Chinese system, but assigns Tibetan names to years and months. Monks use astrological charts to determine auspicious dates for ceremonies, journeys, and agricultural work. The Tibetan concept of time is also influenced by Buddhist teachings, emphasizing impermanence and the endless cycle of samsara birth, death, and rebirth. At the same time, the practice of meditation aims to transcend temporal attachment, hinting at a timeless state. Buddhist philosophy provides profound insights into the nature of time. Early Buddhist texts describe time as a series of moments, kshana, arising and passing, with extreme rapidity. Reality is seen as a stream of discrete events rather than a continuous substance. The doctrine of dependent origination states that phenomena arise in dependence on conditions. Therefore, time does not exist independently. Some schools, like the Yogacara, propose that the 3 times past, present, and future exist only in the mind. The Zen tradition encourages practitioners to experience the eternal present by focusing on breath and awareness. In meditation, thoughts and sensations are observed without clinging, revealing that time is a mental construct. Yet Buddhist calendars are practical. Lunar cycles dictate festival dates. Vesak, marking the Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and death, is celebrated on the full moon of Vesaka month. Kathina marks the end of monastic rains retreat, aligning spiritual discipline with seasonal rains. Thus, Buddhist communities navigate daily and cosmic time while seeking timeless insight. Moving from the high plateau to the steppes, we encounter the ancient Turkic peoples and their 12 animal zodiac, similar to the Chinese. Years were named for the mouse, ox, leopard, hare, crocodile, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, chicken, dog, and pig. This system combined with a solar calendar of 12 months. Festivals like Nowruz, celebrated in Kazakhstan and other Turkic countries, mark the coming of spring and involve cooking traditional foods like borsak, fried dough, and welcoming neighbors. Timekeeping here is bound to nomadic cycles of migration and animal husbandry. Seasons dictate when to move herds to mountain pastures or lowland winter camps. The sky, unobstructed by buildings or trees, serves as a vast clock. Constellations and the phases of the moon guide night travel. Looking further east, the Japanese calendar historically followed the Chinese lunisolar system but adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1873. Nevertheless, traditional festivals remain tied to lunar dates. Oshogatsu, New Year, begins in early January, but Setsubun, marking the boundary between winter and spring, occurs on the 3rd day of the 2nd month of the old calendar. People scatter roasted soybeans to drive away demons and welcome good fortune, yelling Oni wa Soto, Fuku wa Uchi. Demons out, fortune in. Nem. Tanabata, the star festival, is celebrated on the 7th day of the 7th month, commemorating the meeting of the deities Orihime and Hikoboshi, represented by the stars Vega and Altair. This myth reflects the interplay of celestial movements and human storytelling. Obun, honoring ancestors, occurs in the 7th lunar month. Families light lanterns and perform bonodori dances. These festivals maintain a sense of seasonal time even as daily life runs on modern hours. The complexity of calendars becomes apparent when cultures interact. On the Silk Road, merchants carried goods and ideas across continents, including astronomical knowledge. Chinese water clocks traveled west, while Persian astrolabes reached east. Buddhist monks from India introduced concepts of cyclical time to East Asia. Islamic scholars translated Greek astronomical works into Arabic, preserving and expanding them. The adoption of the 7-day week by Christians, Muslims, and Jews created a shared temporal framework across Eurasia. Yet local variations persisted. The Balinese Pawukan calendar, for instance, uses multiple simultaneous cycles of different lengths, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 30 weeks, to determine auspicious days for rituals. Interactions along trade routes fostered a mosaic of timekeeping practices rather than homogenization. Ritual acts often compress and expand time. In Hindu fire rituals, Homa, mantras chanted thousands of years ago are recited today, making the present a repetition of mythic time. During Passover Seders, Jewish families recount the Exodus story in the present tense, as if each person personally left Egypt. At Pentecost, Christians recall the descent of the Holy Spirit, bridging a 2-millennia gap. In Islamic prayer, verses revealed in the 7th century are recited daily worldwide, linking present worshippers to the prophet's time. Yoruba drummers invoke orishas with rhythms said to be as old as the world. These rituals compress time into a sacred now where past, present, and future converge. Language shapes how people think about time. Many African languages lack a future tense. Instead, they use aspect markers indicating whether an action is completed or ongoing. In the Australian Aboriginal language Murrin-Patha, time is described using spatial metaphors. The past can be in front because it is known and visible, while the future is behind, unseen and mysterious. This parallels the Maori notion of walking backward into the future. In Mandarin Chinese, tense markers are not obligatory. Context indicates time. Meanwhile, English uses linear metaphors. Time can be saved, wasted, spent, or lost. These linguistic differences influence how speakers plan, recall, and experience time. Cognitive scientists have found that people who speak languages without grammatical tense may pay more attention to context and may be more present-oriented. Yet, there is no consensus. The interplay between language and thought remains a rich field of study. Architecture encodes time through orientation and design. Stonehenge aligns with solstices. Newgrange in Ireland allows winter solstice sunlight to penetrate its inner chamber, illuminating ancient carvings. Angkor Wat in Cambodia aligns with the equinoxes. Its bas-reliefs depict solar and lunar cycles. The city of Persepolis incorporates staircases decorated with delegations from the empire's provinces, symbolizing the procession of time and tribute. Pyramids in Egypt and Mesoamerica were built in stages over generations. Their layers record time physically. In the medieval Islamic world, mosques often feature muqarnas, stalactite-like decorations, whose geometric complexity reflects the infinite nature of creation. Gothic cathedrals used stained glass to narrate biblical history, guiding worshippers through time and light. Even humble dwellings reflect time, the orientation of a house to catch morning sun, the veranda where elders sit in the evening, the hearth where families gather at dusk. Built environments are, in a sense, calendars in stone and wood. Music, too, structures time. Rhythms can be simple or complex. The tala system in Indian classical music includes cycles of varying lengths, such as teental, 16 beats, rupak, 7 beats, or japtal, 10 beats. Musicians improvise within these cycles, creating tension and release. In West African drumming, polyrhythms layer different time signatures, reflecting social cohesion. Each drummer plays a pattern that contributes to a complex whole. Gregorian chant uses free rhythm guided by the text. Its unhurried pace invites contemplation. Andean panpipe music follows cycles of breathing, echoing the rhythms of work and rest at high altitude. The ancient Greeks associated modes, scales with times of day and emotional states. The interplay of beat and melody can slow or speed our perception of time, as anyone who has lost themselves in a song knows. Artistic representation of time appears in storytelling techniques like flashbacks and foreshadowing, used in epics such as the Mahabharata or Homer's Odyssey. In the Mayan Popol Vuh, narrative cycles recount creation, destruction, and recreation. In Yoruba oral epics, storytellers add or omit episodes depending on audience and occasion. Time becomes fluid, shaped by performer and listener. Paintings can depict sequential scenes within one composition, as seen in Egyptian tomb murals or medieval altarpieces. In film and literature, slow motion or time-lapse portrayals manipulate viewers' sense of duration. These artistic devices mirror the multiplicity of ways humans experience time. The development of mechanical clocks in medieval Europe transformed society's relationship with time. Monasteries required regular prayer times, prompting innovations like the weight-driven escapement. Public clocks with bells allowed townspeople to coordinate work, markets, and curfews. As clocks became more accurate, hours became standardized. This shift from natural cues, sunrise, seasons, to mechanical measurement gradually altered daily rhythms. The Industrial Revolution intensified this change, synchronizing labor with machines and schedules. Yet the origins of this mechanical timekeeping lie in earlier devices like the water clocks of Egypt and Greece. The story of time's measurement is thus a continuum from shadows and stars to gears and pendulums. Calendars and clocks are also instruments of identity. In modern Ethiopia, celebrating both Enkutatah and Christmas on January 7th expresses Ethiopian Orthodox identity. In Iran, Nowruz celebrations continue despite attempts to suppress them during historical periods, serving as a marker of cultural resilience. In North America, indigenous communities revive the Maramataka, lunar festivals, and seasonal ceremonies as acts of cultural reclamation. The adoption of the Gregorian calendar worldwide brought convenience but also challenged local calendars. Some cultures maintain dual calendars, one for civil purposes, another for religious. This duality allows participation in global systems while preserving ancestral rhythms. The concept of time in Islamic, Christian, and Jewish eschatologies emphasizes an end-of-days judgment day, the coming of the Messiah, or the return of Jesus. In contrast, Hinduism and Buddhism view time as cyclical without a singular end. Indigenous cosmologies often envision time as ongoing creation. These differences influence attitudes toward change, progress, and preservation. If one believes time will end with divine intervention, one may focus on moral readiness. If one believes in endless cycles, one might emphasize harmony and balance. Recognizing these perspectives fosters empathy across traditions. Our own experience of time often blends these paradigms. We celebrate birthdays, cyclical, and milestone events like graduations, linear. We follow weekly work schedules and yearly holidays. We may anticipate retirement, a linear endpoint, while also observing yearly anniversaries of loved ones passing. Technology accelerates communication. We receive messages instantly across continents, shrinking perceived time. Yet waiting for packages still takes days. Seasons still unfold slowly. The pandemic slowed many routines, creating new experiences of time, days blurred, and weeks felt both long and short. Reflecting on ancient timekeeping offers grounding. It reminds us that time can be rich and varied, not just a commodity to be managed. As we near the conclusion of this long meditation, consider how you might integrate ancient time wisdom into your life. You might mark the phases of the moon, noticing how your energy changes. You might honor sunrise or sunset with a quiet moment. You could learn the names of stars and watch them shift through the seasons. You might celebrate cultural festivals outside your own tradition, experiencing time through different lenses. By doing so, you connect yourself to a larger human story. Imagine once more the quiet spaces we have visited. A priest in Egypt recording the rising of Sirius with a merkit, a Babylonian astronomer calculating eclipse cycles on a clay tablet, a Greek philosopher pondering the nature of time under an olive tree, a Chinese scholar adjusting an incense clock, an Indian yogi performing Sandhyavandana by a river, a Mayan scribe carving long-count dates into stone, an Inca priest watching the sun between stone towers, a Celtic druid marking the full moon, a Norse skald reciting sagas by firelight, a Jewish family blessing a new moon, a Muslim muezzin calling the faithful to prayer, a Yoruba drummer summoning gods, an Igbo elder counting days on a paestedi turtle shell, a Maori family waiting for matariki, an Aboriginal elder singing a songline, a Persian family gathered around a haft-scene table. Each one of these scenes is a still point in a spinning world, a drop in the river of time. The very act of listening to this narrative is a form of timekeeping. You have devoted minutes and hours to absorbing stories that span millennia. You have allowed your mind to wander across deserts, forests, plains, mountains, and oceans. You have felt time slow as the narrative lengthened, perhaps noticing your breathing deepen. In this, you have replicated an ancient practice, storytelling as a means of marking time. Across cultures, bedtime stories lull children to sleep. Myths pass through generations, and elders share wisdom in the quiet of night. When we listen, we participate in a chain of continuity. Now, as this journey winds down, notice the gentle deceleration. Each sentence settles like falling leaves. The themes we have explored: cycles and lines, light and darkness, rituals and myths, cosmology and daily life, come to rest. You may feel a sense of completeness, like reaching the end of a long walk. You might feel gratitude for those who came before, who devised calendars and told stories. You may sense curiosity about other cultures not covered, or about how future societies will understand time. There is beauty in slowing down. When we slow, we perceive details we might otherwise miss. The sound of a water drop, the subtle change in air temperature at dusk, the way shadows lengthen in late afternoon. Ancient timekeepers were attentive to such details. Their survival depended on it. Modern life often rushes us past these moments. By listening to this slow narrative, you have practiced an ancient skill: patient attention. This skill can bring calm and clarity, not only at bedtime, but in daily life. As the final words approach, let the steady rhythm of your breath guide you. Feel the gentle rise and fall like waves on a shore. Picture yourself lying under a night sky filled with stars. Somewhere, the Nile still floods, the monsoon rains still fall, the Pleiades still rise, and the seasons still turn. The world continues its timeless dance. You are part of this dance, a small yet significant part of a vast tapestry of time. Now, in the quietest whispers, the narrative concludes, inviting rest and release. There is nothing more to remember or to do. Simply allow yourself to drift, like a feather on a calm river. Sleep will come, carrying you through your own cycles of dreams and waking. May you carry with you the gentle wisdom of ancient time, and may it bring you peace. Good night. Before closing, it is worth visiting time concepts within early Christianity. The adoption of a 7-day week within the Roman Empire, due in part to Judeo-Christian influence, was cemented when Emperor Constantine declared Sunday as a day of rest in 321 CE. The liturgical calendar then emerged, structuring the year around seasons like Advent, a period of waiting and preparation for Christmas; Lent, 40 days of fasting and reflection before Easter; and ordinary time, counted Sundays. Each feast commemorates a moment in the life of Jesus, Mary, or the saints, inviting believers to relive sacred history. The liturgy reads passages from Scripture arranged in a 3-year cycle. Time here becomes salvation history, marked by divine intervention and redemption. The notion of eternity, aionios, contrasts with earthly time. Christian theology teaches that the kingdom of heaven transcends time, yet enters history through Christ. Monastic orders punctuate their days with the liturgy of the hours: matins, lauds, prime, terce, sext, none, vespers, and compline, echoing earlier Jewish hours. Each hour has its own psalms and hymns, creating a rhythm of prayer that sanctifies the day. Another modern spiritual tradition, the Baha'i Faith, introduces yet another calendar with a unique structure. Revealed by the Bab in 1844 and adopted by Baha'u'llah, the Baha'i calendar consists of 19 months of 19 days each, totaling 361 days. 4 or 5 intercalary days, Ayami Ha, are added before the final month to adjust for the solar year. Each month and each day of the month is named after an attribute of God, such as Baha, splendor, Jalal, glory, and Rahmat, mercy. The new year, Nowruz, coincides with the vernal equinox, aligning with Persian Nowruz. Every 19th day, Baha'is gather for a feast of worship, consultation, and socializing. This regular gathering emphasizes community cohesion and spiritual reflection. The Baha'i calendar underscores the idea that time can serve as a unifier, structured to facilitate both individual growth and collective harmony. Ancient philosophers often pondered the concept of a great year, a period after which all heavenly bodies return to their original positions relative to each other. Plato mentioned this idea, estimating its length at around 36,000 years, though later thinkers like Hipparchus and Ptolemy refined the notion to correspond with the 26,000-year precession cycle of Earth's axis. In Hindu cosmology, the cycle of yugas can be likened to a great year, where ages of decline and renewal follow cosmic rhythms. The Maya long count similarly tracks cycles beyond human lifespans. These grand cycles remind us that time extends far beyond the scale of human life, and that civilizations rise and fall within a larger cosmic dance. Across cultures, admonitions about the use of time appear. In the Quran, Surah Al-Asr swears by time and warns that humanity is in loss except those who believe and perform righteous deeds. In the New Testament, Paul writes, "Redeeming the time, because the days are evil," urging believers to make good use of every moment. The Bhagavad Gita has Krishna say, "Time I am, destroyer of worlds," reminding Arjuna of time's power and the importance of action. Persian poet Rumi advises, "Why then be concerned about a drop when the sea exists?" implying that focusing on the eternal can free one from temporal worries. Such teachings highlight the moral and spiritual dimensions of time, urging mindfulness and purposeful living. In many island cultures, time is experienced differently, often referred to colloquially as island time. In the Pacific, schedules are flexible, and gatherings begin when everyone arrives, rather than at a set hour. This relaxed approach reflects environmental and social factors. Abundant natural resources reduce urgency, extended family networks prioritize relationships over tasks, and the climate allows for a leisurely pace. In the Caribbean, a similar attitude prevails. The day flows with the rhythms of the sea and the sun. Visitors accustomed to rigid schedules may initially find this challenging, but over time, they often appreciate the reduced stress and increased presence in the moment. This perspective invites a rethinking of efficiency and success, suggesting that quality of life may improve when time is not always treated as a scarce commodity. Language, metaphors, and proverbs further reveal cultural attitudes toward time. The Akan of Ghana say, "Time is like a river. When it is gone, it does not return," emphasizing the irreversibility of moments. The Latin phrase tempus fugit, time flies, conveys a similar sentiment. Meanwhile, in Yoruba, the saying "Igi gogo tiakosi inu omi," amadi koriko pelu igba, suggests that even a log submerged in water will eventually sprout grass with time. In Chinese, there is a proverb, 10 years is not too late to avenge, Buwan, highlighting patience and long-term thinking. These sayings teach both urgency and patience, reminding listeners to act wisely and to trust the processes that unfold slowly. Another dimension of time is memory. Memory binds past experiences to present identity. Neuroscientists study how memories are formed, consolidated during sleep, and retrieved. Memories are not static records, but reconstructions influenced by current emotions and future goals. In many cultures, memory is externalized in objects, memory stones, ancestor tablets, prayer flags, amulets. Visiting ancestral graves on specific days, as in the Mexican Dia de los Muertos or Chinese Qingming, reinforces the connection between living and dead, tying personal time to family lineage. Oral histories maintain community memory, where writing is less common. Storytellers become living archives. The persistence of memory across generations depends on rituals that anchor events to the calendar anniversaries, commemorations, and reenactments. Thus, time and memory are inseparable. To remember is to make time present. Technology continues to transform our relationship with time. The invention of accurate mechanical clocks was followed by electric clocks, quartz timepieces, and atomic clocks. Atomic clocks measure the vibration of cesium atoms, keeping time to within billionths of a second. Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, synchronizes the world, enabling global communication, navigation, and science. Leap seconds are occasionally inserted to adjust atomic time to Earth's slowing rotation. GPS satellites require precise timing to pinpoint positions. Meanwhile, digital devices push notifications, splitting attention into micro moments. Social media creates a continuous present, making it difficult to reflect on the past or anticipate the future. Yet digital archives also preserve memories more comprehensively than ever before. The tension between constant connectivity and the need for deep, unstructured time is a defining feature of contemporary life. Lastly, consider the future of time. Physicists question whether time is fundamental or emergent. Some theories suggest that at the quantum level, time may not exist. Instead, it emerges from entangled states. Philosophers ask whether time travel is possible and what paradoxes might arise. Artists imagine futures where humans live longer, altering perceptions of life stages. Climate change reminds us that geological time and human time intersect. The choices we make today influence the conditions of future centuries. Ancient civilizations also faced environmental changes. Drought contributed to the collapse of the Maya city-states. Salinization affected Mesopotamian agriculture. Overuse of resources challenged Easter Island communities. Their experiences invite us to integrate long-term thinking into our actions. Adopting a more cyclical and holistic view of time, as many ancient cultures did, may encourage sustainability and patience. And so, with these thoughts weaving through your mind like threads in a tapestry, the narrative gently extends a little further, offering more room to settle. You may feel the slow stretching of minutes into hours as the voice continues, giving you space to breathe and to reflect. Each additional word is like another layer of a lullaby, softening the edges of wakefulness, inviting the embrace of sleep. The richness of human experiences with time, from ritual precision to open fluidity, expands the possibilities for your own relationship to time. Perhaps you will rise tomorrow with a new awareness of the sky's colors at dawn, or perhaps you will pause mid-afternoon to notice the shadows lengthen. Perhaps you will decide to celebrate a festival outside your culture, or simply take time to breathe deeply before your day begins. Whatever you choose, the exploration of ancient timekeeping may remind you that every moment is both ancient and new. As we lay the final stones of this long walkway of stories, imagine that you carry with you a candle that has been lit from the hearths of countless ancestors. Its flame is small, steady, and warm. It does not burn brightly enough to illuminate all of time's mysteries, but it lights the next few steps. With this candle, you can appreciate the beauty of twilight, the hush before dawn, the gentle ticking of unseen clocks, and the whisper of wind through ancient trees. You can choose to notice how the world around you moves at different paces, how a snail's slow crawl is no less significant than a comet's streak across the sky. You can let go of the urge to chase time or to fear it, and instead become attentive to the unfolding of each breath. The ancient civilizations we have visited remind us that time is both a structure and a story, both a measurement and a meaning. It is a river, a wheel, a spiral, a dance. When you wake tomorrow, may you carry the peace of this journey with you. May you greet the day with curiosity and gratitude, aware that you are living history, participating in a lineage of timekeepers. And when the day draws to a close, may you return to rest with the same gentle acceptance, knowing that each day is a chapter in a much larger epic. Let the candlelight guide you, and let the stories cradle you. Sleep well in the knowledge that time, with all its complexities, can be a companion rather than a master.